Hello and welcome to part 2 of this 8 kilometre City of London Riverside photo run. This goes from Tower Hill to London Bridge. The second part starts outside Tower Hill, but before we do this I'm just going to have a look back at the history. 1560s map starts at Tower Hill and then it goes down towards Lower Thames Street and then out towards the front and across Old London Bridge. Now we can see Old London Bridge because it has all the houses on it. It's in a slightly different position today than it is shown on this particular map. In terms of how London would have looked down here, this would have been very much a trading centre on the north side of the river, and as I said earlier, the south side would have been used more for entertainment. Looking at the blue line from here, we can see how London is looking in Victorian times, about 1850. You can see quite a few of the buildings are very similar to where they are in today in terms of the road structure is almost identical. We can see it coming past Customs House, but Old Billingsgate Market is not there. It was just about to be built at this period, so fish markets was in an open space at that time. You'll see that London Bridge is where in its new location. So beforehand it used to be a bit further to the east in parallel to where the monument is, which we'll see in a future run. And here is a view of that run as it would look in at the Shard with all the main groups, one in the red that we're going to go along. Much more open at the front than it would have been in earlier times. Okay, so this is the run we're going to start on, and we're just going to head off and go right past Trinity House, which was used for lighthouses and retired sailors. Then we go past Trinity Gardens on our left, which as I said was to do with the executions, and the Merchant Seamen's Memorial. In front of us is 10 Trinity Square, which was the Port of London Authority, is now a Four Seasons hotel. And as we cross the road, we're going to turn left and then right back towards the Tower of London. And as we go past where you get your tickets, you turn the first turn in on your right and you go up towards All Hallows Church, which actually means All Saints Church in modern speak. Now, All Hallows Church has been there since 675. It's an Anglo-Saxon church, and in fact it still has the arch into it if you go underneath it. It did survive the fire in 1666, one of the only churches that did, but it was badly damaged in World War II and has subsequently been rebuilt in 1957. Now we're going to go left down to Lower Thames Street, which has been there since 1013, right next to the Hung and Drawn and Quarters pub. And this was a site which was a residential quarters for Henry VIII's courtiers. And we're going to go down the road and past the side of Customs House, which has been there since the 14th century, and it was originally used for wool exports to collect the dues for those. Current building dates from 1813 and includes cellars for seized wines and spirits, but it is due to be sold off and made into a hotel in 2020 and beyond. Now as we go past the gap onto the riverside, we'll go past Old Billingsgate Market. Now this was only built in 1850, so beforehand it was an open street market, very noisy, very smelly, and the fishing fleet would come and offload their goods at this particular quay. Now in 1982 this was moved to Docklands, and it is now a hospitality area, but also a very fascinating building. And if you look at the top you can see the signs of the fish, remnants of the past. As we come along the front of the river, we have some views across to the south side with the Shard and the buildings that we passed earlier, and then we come up to a modern stairway which will bring you up towards the top of London Bridge. The reason why London Bridge was so important was because it was able to connect the roads from the south, the four main roads from the south, with the four main roads going north, west and east. When the stone bridge was built in 1209, it was able to last for over 600 years. It was so important that people used to build houses on top of it. It had over 200 houses, it had a water wheel, as well as having spikes at each of the end where people's heads were placed on those for those what we didn't like. So it was almost like an early Facebook. However, 3 years after it was built, we suffered one of the biggest disasters in London. One which is not talked about very much, which was our first fire of London. There was a fire in Southwark on Borough, which all the people in London came down to see, But unfortunately, because of the wind was blowing in the southerly direction, it blew the embers to the north side. So the north side of London got caught, and all the people who were watching it, over 3,000, died. And considering that the population was only 55,000, it was quite a significant impact to London at the time. Now, the bridge was rebuilt in 1831, but the current bridge that you see is actually from 1973. Now, when the new bridge was built, it was built further west than when the old bridge was in place. And the roads were redesigned for the new bridge on both sides of the river. Now, as we get to the top of the bridge, you'll see that there is Fishmongers Hall in front of you, which was the Worshipful Company of Fishmongers. And this was a livery company, which is one of the 110 trades of London. But this is one of the early ones. So there's been a hall in existence since 1310, but this building exists from 1834. As you can see from the pictures of how London looked with all the houses on it, it was quite an impressive building. But when we have a look at the modern ones at the turn of the century, you can see how busy London Bridge was. And this was because there weren't many bridges at the time, so it was a very crowded place. And here's a... Now, as you cross London Bridge, we can see some good views to the east, to opening to Tower Bridge. And then when we get to the end, in this run, we're going to go back to London Bridge, and we're going to turn round and then go back the other way. So this is this third part of the route, which is going to go through the heart of the city. Now, as you can see, it starts very much where St. Olaf's Church was, which is where we stopped, and it will come up more ones, which will give you a lot more information. But I hope you have enjoyed that, and look forward to your next one. Thank you.